Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll start off in a child's pose position. Bring your big toes together, separate your knees, and crawl your hands out long in front of you. Maybe your forehead comes down to rest on the mat. Allow breath to start to fill the space between your shoulder blades as you inhale. And as you exhale, feel your hips sink heavier to your heels. As you bring a little more focus to your breath, notice this elongation you can find all along your spine. Now start to crawl your hands over to the right diagonal of your mat as you send your hips over to the left. So you're getting a nice counter stretch all along the left side of your body. Just breathe into that space, nice full big breath in and full big breath out. And then slowly transition, walk your fingertips over to the left and send your hips so they pull over to the right. And just finding that nice opening all along the right side back body. Think of that separation that you can create between your ribs and your hips on your right side. Take a big breath in. And on your exhale, slowly bring yourself back to center and push up to a tabletop position. So your shoulders will come over your wrists, your hips will come over your knees, and we'll start to move through cat and cow. On your inhale, arch through your spine, lift your gaze. And exhale, round through your spine, push into the ground. And you can continue with that pretty straightforward cat and cow, arching and rounding. If there's anything else you'd like to add in, maybe some circular motion through the rib or through the hip or the neck, feel free to explore that. Make sure that your breath is facilitating your movement. Bring yourself back to a neutral spinal shape. Send your hips way over to the right. And bring your gaze over towards your left heel. So you're feeling maybe a little opening into your outer right side hip. And then slowly bring yourself back and switch. So you can push your hips over to the left and bring your gaze over to the right heel. And we'll take that again each side. So just like wagging your tail, send your hips way over to the right, bring your gaze over towards your left heel. And then swap, bring your hips over to the left, gaze over towards your right heel. Maybe finding that you're able to release a little more all along the outer left glute. And then one more round, push your hips as far to the right as you can. Think of this kind of side curve happening in your spine and your waist. And then switch, hips go left, gaze goes towards your right heel. And bring yourself back to a neutral position. Extend your right leg straight out to the side. Try to flatten your right foot. Flip your back toes for a bit of extra support and start to slowly move your hips forwards and backwards. You may be feeling a nice little stretch into your inner right thigh. And you can take this as quickly or slowly as feels good in your body. This is just a nice, gentle way to start to get into your hips a little bit deeper. Take a few more of these, just going forwards and backwards. And then take your right ankle. This is a little tricky to get into. Cross it over your left knee. However you need to get into this position. Open your right knee as much as you can to the side. Once again, flip your back toes if that feels nice and supportive. And start to take a cat and cow in this position. It may feel a little bit awkward. But the idea here is that we want to open through the front of your right hip. And you also may be feeling a nice opening into your right glute. You can take straightforward cat and cows, or if it feels better to take some circular movement through your hip or your spine, feel free to find that as well. Flip your back toes and lift your hips up to downward facing dog with this figure 4 cross. Continuously feel like you could push your right knee towards the back of the space. Spread your fingers, press your armpit towards your bottom toe. And then start to walk your hands back towards your supporting foot. Bend your supporting knee a lot, flex your top right foot a lot, and we're in the standing figure 4. Breathe here. Think of shifting your hips back, try to bend your bottom knee as much as you can. And then transition, slide your right foot so it comes over top of your left foot. So you're in a cross-legged forward fold. How I'm accomplishing this is I'm allowing my knees to bend. You can stay with your torso straight forward. If you want to feel this a little more, walk your fingertips over to the right side of your mat and send your hips over to the left. That may give you a little bit of a deeper something into your left glute. and breathe into that space. Feel this pull of your fingertips. And slowly bring yourself back to center. Unravel your feet. Separate your feet about hips width distance. Soften through your knees and then slowly roll yourself upright to stand. Maybe taking a little bit of shimmy movement as you come up. Reach your arms out and up overhead. Nice big breath in. Exhale, open your arms. Bring your hands to your hips. You can separate your feet a little bit wider. Soften through your knees and start to find some hip circles. So hip circles always feel a little bit silly, but they're a really good way to break up any tightness you may have in your pelvic region. So we'll do about 3 in one direction, 3 in the other direction. After you've done your hip circles, inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale for halfway lift. Bring your hands down to the ground and come back to your tabletop position. We're gonna take all of that on the second side. Extend your left leg so it comes straight out from your hip. Try to get your left foot flat, especially the outer edge of your left foot. Tuck your back toes under and start to shift yourself forwards and backwards. Again, feeling a nice little opening maybe into your left inner thigh, and maybe starting to feel a very gentle opening into your left side of the hip. I'm just thinking of kind of increasing this range of motion. You can take these as quickly or slowly as feels good in your body. After your last one, cross your left ankle so it comes across your right knee. This is a little tricky to get into. Once you arrive there, try to pull your left knee as far back as you can and begin to take some spinal movement here. So that can be a straightforward cat and cow. And just notice when you take this cat and cow, how it may affect the stretch, the opening into the front of your left hip, and then also into kind of that outer glute region that we've been focusing on. This could be a straightforward cat-cow, or maybe you're finding some different variations when moving your spine. That can be in some circles or some movement through the head or the shoulders. After your last one, flip your back toes and then lift your hips up so you're coming into a downward facing dog with this figure 4. So I really have to think of pushing my left ankle into that space right above my right knee. Pull your left knee back, try to push your armpits towards your bottom big toe. And breathe here. Now start to walk your hands back towards your bottom foot. Bend your bottom knee a lot. Flex your top foot a lot. Sometimes I have to pull my bottom ankle up just a bit. Challenge yourself here. See if you could bend your bottom knee even just a little bit deeper. Send your hips a little further back and continue to breathe into the space between your shoulder blades. Almost like someone's pulling your hips back behind you. And then transition, slide your left foot so it crosses over your right. So you're in a cross-legged forward fold. Allow your head to drop nice and heavy. Think of the length through the back of your neck. You could keep your torso centered, or you could walk your fingertips over to the left side of your mat. If you're taking this variation, think that you could pull your hips far over towards the right. And you could be feeling this maybe a little into your outer right glute, or maybe a little bit more into the right side of your back. Slowly bring yourself back to center and unravel your feet so they'll come to about hips width distance. Soften through your knees. Once again, roll yourself up to stand. Nice and gradual as you stack through the vertebrae. You can take a few moments to roll around through your shoulders. We'll be taking those hip circles again. Bring your hands to your hips. You can bring your feet a little bit wider. Definitely soften through your knees and just take a few moments to make these big circles through the hips. We take like 3 in one direction and then go ahead and switch to the opposite direction. Your knees should be moving with this. Just a little bit. After your last one, stand up straight, reach your arms up overhead, nice big breath in. Exhale, forward fold, dive down. Inhale for halfway lift. Exhale, bring your hands down to the ground and walk yourself out to a downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up into the air, bend your right knee, think of opening your hip and push your right foot over towards the left. And now step your right foot so it comes outside of your right hand. Pause for a moment here. Take a few circles so your back toes are going to move around a little bit. Hands can be inside of the front foot. Lower your back knee down to the mat. We're going to come into a deeper lunge here. This is called a lizard lunge. There's a few options. You can stay on your palms. You can come down to your forearms. If you're feeling like you're somewhere halfway between those options, you can grab something like a booster, that could be a yoga block or a stack of books, and rest your forearms on that stack. Allow your body to release over as best you can. Allow the weight of your torso to influence the weight of your pelvis. Think of the weight of your pelvis going down and slightly forward. Option to stay as you are, or option to take your right hand to just above your right knee and gently start to press your right knee open to this side. Now, as this happens, my right foot, I slowly start to come onto the right pinky toe, and that's okay. Roll your heart space open to the ceiling. And then if you have chosen that variation, begin to bring yourself out of it. Place your hands down to the mat if they're not already there. Flip your back toes, find a three-legged dog once again, and just take a moment to kind of shake out through your right leg, your right foot. And we'll take that all on the second side. Lift your left leg, bend your left knee, open your hip. Take just a few moments in this position to feel that nice openness into the front of your left hip especially. And then with control, step your left foot, it comes outside of your left hand. Keep your back knee lifted for a moment and take just a few moments to kind of rock side to side, forwards and backwards in this position. And then gently lower your back knee down to the mat. And take your option here. Your palms can stay flat, or you could bring your forearms down. We'll be here for about 10 breaths total. And try to focus on making those breaths as expansive as possible. Think of the bottom back side of your ribs expanding with every breath in. And with every breath out, allow the weight of your torso to inspire the weight of your pelvis. You can stay in this central position, or if you'd like to, you can bring your left hand just above your left knee and gently start to apply a bit of pressure. And with that pressure will come a slight twist with the mid and upper torso. You can rotate your gaze up towards the ceiling. Really allow yourself to lean over to the right if you're taking this variation. Give yourself a few moments of breath here and then slowly release yourself back. Flip your back toes, reach your left leg up into the air. Take a moment just to kind of flop your left leg around. Doesn't have to be anything too pretty. Bring your left foot back down to the mat. Walk your feet forward. Bring your feet a bit wider so your heels are in, your toes are out, and send your hips down into a Malasana squat position. If you're unable to squat your hips really low, that's okay. Bring your hips to where you can bring them. Allow your knees to track over your toes. I do this by bringing my hands to prayer and pushing my triceps into my knees to encourage them out. Think of bringing a little more awareness to the big toe edge of both of your feet. So you're not allowing your knees to roll in. Instead, they're being encouraged straight over your third toe. And then, as difficult as this may seem, try to push weight into your feet and feel that your spine is getting longer, like someone's taking the tops of your ears and pulling you up towards the ceiling. Give it one more big breath here and then slowly make your way to a sitting position. And we'll end our session today in a cross-legged seat. Bring your hands to rest on your knees or your thighs. Allow your eyes to close or find a soft gaze. And come back to your breath, that same breath that we established at the beginning of the sequence. Notice if you feel any differences throughout your body. And allow yourself a moment of gratitude for taking this time, carving out this time for yourself, for your physical wellness. Take one more big breath. Thank you for joining us today. And that's your flow.